evening, America. This is Seth Myers with the Weekend Update. Tonight we'll be having some very special guests in a special segment called How to Fix the Economy. Our first guest, the self-proclaimed winner of the presidential election, Mitt Romney, everybody! How's it going, Mr. Romney?
Thanks for having me on, Seth.
Alright, good to have you, Mitt. Now my first question for you is, why do you have it out for Big Bird, and how would throwing him to Oscar the Grouch help the economy?
Well, Seth, first of all, Big Bird is obese, and it is not healthy for America to idolize a bird that is so big he can't even fly. Secondly, Big Bird teaches kids to be frugal with their money and to not spend any of it. Obviously, this is detrimental to the economy, and Big Bird is going to have to go the way of the dodo.
So do you have a plan to implement a different kind of show for kids?
And Seth, I do have a plan. My plan is to introduce a new character to the American public. Elegant elephant. Because we all know elephants are the best animal to be. This elephant will teach kids how to start investing their money early into diversified mutual funds and spend wildly on consumer items. Now, I will only be taxed 20% on my investments, but the other investors will be taxed 35%. It's capital gains tax. Look it up.
Seems fair to me. Now tell us about some of your other ideas for getting us out of debt. I hear you want to cut spending, but you won't tell us where?
A good politician never reveals his cuts.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Romney, but I thought that phrase was for magicians and their tricks.
No, you're wrong.
Oh, okay. And how do you plan on increasing tax revenue without raising taxes?
Here's how, Seth. By eliminating loopholes and deductions for the wealthy. For instance, filing as marriage, donating to charity, or having kids will no longer save Americans money on their taxes. What this will do will increase tax revenue in the long run, will drastically lower divorce rates, because no one will see the need in getting married. The money that people won't donate to charity will be spent and increased demand for goods. And with less kids running around, it's less money that the government must spend and parents must spend on their kids, which would give the government more spending power.
Mitt, you certainly are a wealth of knowledge. Thanks so much for coming on to our show. Do you have any last words?
One last thing. I made copies of the binders of women that I found, so if anyone needs a list, come talk to me. I don't want to have the only state with women working in the government.
All right. What an interesting interview with Mr. Romney. Now our next guest is the man who actually won the election, President Obama, everybody.
Hello, Seth. How
are you doing, Mr. Romney?
Doing well, doing well. Now, we've come a long way, but we're not there yet.
I didn't even ask a question, Mr. President.
Oh. Well, I would like to start things off like I do every time.
Well, that certainly works. All right, Mr. President, just like your adversary, we're going to ask you a few questions about how to get us out of debt. My first question would be, how do you expect to get us out of debt while still spending more money than America takes in?
Well, Seth, I'm a firm believer in the phrase, you gotta spend money to make money. Now, and in this case, we're spending a lot of money and making money, just not quite the same as we're spending.
So what do you think the key is to make those two balances equal?
Well, I think we need to spend more money.
Okay, next question. With the recent fiscal cliff deal, there had to be a compromise made between spending cuts and tax hikes. So what came out of it, it seems, is tax hikes for the wealthy, who already pay the most taxes, and we were able to keep programs like educating Americans about Cambodian history and free lunch Wednesdays in Congress. These two programs are estimated to have a net cost of $100 million, while cutting funding to Medicare and Social Security. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it was a good thing. Those Americans that can afford to pay more should be taxed higher to pay more for America's past mistakes. And those programs you mentioned were deemed two of the most important programs to keep by myself and my cabinet.
Now, personifying the economy here, do you believe in the expression, give a man a fish and he will eat for a day, and teach a man to fish and he will eat for the rest of his life?
I believe, oh, hold 1 second, Seth. Hello? Benghazi, again? Aw, man. Okay, I'll be right there. Seth, I'm afraid I have to run. But my final remarks would be, give a man a fish, and he will eat for a week. Wait. And when he runs out in 3 days, because he squandered the fish, give him another one.
All right, valuable words by the president. Our next guest is senior analyst Donalda Marici. She has come up with her own plan to get out of debt. Donalda?
Hello, Seth, and thanks for having me tonight.
Well, the judge
No problem. Can we hear your idea?
Well, okay, so here it is. We will bail out the government with a $16 trillion bailout. We can print the money and the U.S. will be out of debt.
Wow! How has no one ever thought of that? Good work, Donalda. Top notch.
Yes, and also with all of the extra printed money, all Americans will have enough money to spend even more. And America will never be in debt again.
All right, I think we're all out of time, but what insightful ideas by our three guests. Good night, America.